There is something happening in your home right now that most cat owners never fully understand. It happens in front of other people, quietly, without ceremony, and it is over in seconds. But what it actually means, what is taking place inside your cat's brain when they do it, is one of the most remarkable things in the entire animal world. Your cat walks into a room full of people. Someone calls their name. Someone reaches down. Someone makes the small clicking sound they believe all cats respond to. And your cat looks at each of them. And then they walk past every single one. And they sit down beside you. Everyone laughs. Nobody understands it. And even you, the one they chose, cannot fully explain why. But there is a reason. There's always been a reason. And when you understand what is actually happening inside your cat's mind in that moment, the way you see your cat will never be the same again. And there is one thing I want you to stay for. Because if your cat has never walked toward you this way, what we cover at number 6 is something you genuinely need to hear. Let us talk about what is really happening. 1. They are not choosing who likes them most. Picture the scene. A room full of people. Conversation, laughter, the warm hum of a social evening. And somewhere in that room, your cat. Not hiding, simply watching. The person nearest leans forward and calls their name. Another reaches down. Someone makes eye contact and smiles. And your cat looks at each of them in turn. And walks to the one person who did none of those things. The one who looked away. The one whose body stayed still. The one who made no invitation. Most people read this as randomness. Some read it as spite. The person who tried the hardest feels a quiet sting they do not say out loud. But what just happened had nothing to do with any of that. To understand it, you have to understand how a cat's nervous system reads the world. Direct, sustained eye contact is, in the animal world, what a predator does before it closes distance. Leaning forward is the posture of approach. Reaching out is the motion of something intending to make contact without permission. Calling a name is a demand dressed as an invitation. None of those people meant harm. They were speaking a language that belongs to the human world. But a cat's nervous system translates those signals into one word. Pressure. The quiet one looked away, kept their body loose, made no claims. And in the language a cat's brain has been reading for 10,000 years, that posture carried a different signal. Safe. Your cat did not choose the person who tried the hardest. They chose the person who asked for the least. And that is only the beginning of the answer. 2. The choice was not made in that room. Here is what most people get wrong about that moment. They assume the decision happened right then. Something about the energy, some unknowable feline instinct that fired on the spot. But what actually happened was built across weeks, across months, across the slow accumulation of ordinary days your cat was observing long before any of it seemed significant. Research into feline attachment behavior at Oregon State University found something that changed how behavioral scientists think about cats entirely. Published studies confirmed that domestic cats form specific, measurable attachment bonds with individual humans. The same attachment categories developmental psychologists use for the bond between a human infant and their primary caregiver. The majority of cats studied showed secure attachment to their specific person. They regulated their own stress responses based entirely on that one person's presence or absence. What this tells us is that your cat has not been indifferent. They have been building a file. Think about what your cat has access to that no one else does. They watch you when no performance is required. When you move through the kitchen before you have woken up. When you sit in silence doing nothing. When no version of yourself is being curated for anyone. They are mapping you. Observation by observation. And somewhere in that accumulation, at a moment you were not even aware of, they reached a conclusion. The crossing of the room happened in your living room. The choice was made long before that. You just were not looking. 3. They've been leaving you signs you missed. Once a cat has made their decision, they begin to communicate it. Every single day. In a language so woven into ordinary life that most owners walk past it without registering what it means. The head bunt. That moment when your cat presses the side of their face against your hand or your leg. It happens so regularly that most owners have stopped noticing it. They reach down, give a brief stroke, and move on. But what is happening in that gesture is worth stopping for. Cats carry scent glands along their cheeks and forehead. When they press these glands against the surface, they deposit their chemical signature. In feline social behavior, this is called bunting, and it is reserved for beings a cat has placed inside their innermost circle. When your cat bunts you, they are marking you as belonging to them. The slow blink. Researchers at the University of Sussex confirmed that when a human slow blinks at a cat, The cat slow blinks back. A dialogue conducted through held gaze and softened eye. And it occurs significantly more between cats and their bonded person than with anyone else. Closing your eyes in the presence of another being is the most dangerous thing a predator can do. Every survival mechanism argues against it. To close them slowly, deliberately, while looking at you, is to set down every weapon they carry. It is the most complete act of biological trust a feline nervous system is capable of. And if this is changing the way you see your cat right now, go ahead and subscribe. Every video on this channel is built around what the science actually says, not what we assume. What we cover next goes even deeper. 4. Their body chemistry changes when you walk in. There is a study most cat owners have never heard of. Published in the journal PLOS One, it measured cortisol levels in domestic cats across different social conditions. Cats showed measurably lower stress hormones in the presence of their bonded person compared to other familiar humans and strangers. Not any human. Their person. Your cat's body chemistry shifts when you walk into the room. The alertness they carry in your absence begins to release. Their breathing deepens. Their muscles soften. You are not background to your cat's life. You are the variable their entire physiology organizes itself around. Every time you travel and leave your cat behind, their body is not simply waiting. It is operating in a sustained state of mild biological stress that only one specific presence reliably resolves. Yours. And when you come home, and your cat does that particular thing they do, that slow approach, that press against your leg, they are completing a biological transition. The alarm that was on is going off. You do not just make your cat happy. You make your cat's body work differently. And that is not something that happens with anyone else. 5. They feel everything you are not saying. You have had a difficult day. You have said nothing about it to anyone. You walk through the door, put your things down, move through the house in the ordinary way. And before you have even sat down, your cat is there. Closer than usual. Quieter than usual. That is not your cat being sweet, though they are. That is your cat reading signals you did not know you were sending. Research has shown that cats can detect changes in human cortisol through scent alone. Your body chemistry shifts when you are stressed, when you are grieving, when you are carrying something you have not yet found words for. Beyond scent, your posture changes, your breathing shifts, the way you move through a room changes. Your cat has been mapping your baseline for months. So when something is different, even in ways you have not registered yourself, they know. This is why cats become extra attentive during illness, during grief, during the long and wordless hard stretches of every human life. They are not guessing. They are responding to real, measurable changes in the one person their biology has spent months learning to read. They cannot ask you what is wrong. So they do the only thing their nature allows. They come close. They press their warmth against your side and hold it there. And sometimes that is the most honest form of comfort that exists. 6. If they have never chosen you, here is what you need to know. If you are not the one your cat walks toward, if you have always been the person they pass, if you have tried, reached out, called their name, and felt the quiet sting of a creature who kept walking, this is for you. A cat who has not chosen you has not found you lacking. The file is simply not complete. The case is still being built. Cats do not bond through pursuit. They do not open their nervous system to a being who approaches with pressure, with demand, with the kind of trying that, however well-intentioned, reads in their ancient sensory language as relentless low-level threat. If you want to be chosen, you do not begin by doing more. You begin by doing less. Stop reaching first. Stop holding eye contact. Let your body become unremarkable in their presence. Sit in the same room without directing anything toward them. Become the kind of presence that asks nothing and simply exists quietly at the edge of their awareness. And then wait. Over days, over weeks, and one day, without announcement, your cat will stand. They will cross the room, and they will sit beside you, and you will not need anyone to explain it, because now you know exactly what it cost them to do it. 7. When the choice suddenly changes, pay attention. A cat who has chosen you does not withdraw without a reason, and that reason is almost always worth understanding. The most important possibility first. If your cat has been close to you for months or years and begins suddenly creating distance, think first about their physical health. Cats carry pain silently. It is an ancestral survival mechanism so deep that even the most loved cat will hide discomfort rather than display it. A cat pulling back from contact may be telling you something their body cannot say any other way. A conversation with your vet is always worth having. Beyond health, look at what has changed. A new person in the home. A shift in routine that feels small to you and significant to them. Cats are creatures of deep pattern. When that pattern changes, they sometimes need to step back before they can return to the closeness they had before. This is not rejection. It is recalibration. The path back is the same path that built the bond in the first place. You do not pursue. You return to the beginning. You become still and available without demand. And you let the file rebuild at their pace. A cat who once chose you has not withdrawn that choice. They have simply gone back to watching. Give them the same patient presence that earned their trust the first time. They will arrive at the same conclusion they always did. You. Again. Still. If you watch this and a moment surfaced, a crossing of a room, a forehead pressed against your hand, a pair of eyes that found yours and then slowly closed, that is not you projecting. That is you finally seeing what has been there the whole time. Your cat did not choose you because you were the most enthusiastic person in the room. They chose you because of who you actually are in the quiet, unguarded hours of ordinary life. Because the evidence kept pointing to you. Because you were the presence that made their nervous system settle. In a world that rewards being loudest, your cat conducted their entire evaluation in silence. And they delivered their verdict without a single word. They simply stood and walked across a room and sat down beside you. That walk was everything. Every video on this channel begins the same way, with a question most cat owners have never stopped to ask. And then we go looking for the real answer. Not the simplified version, not the comfortable assumption, the actual science, the studies, the behavioral research that takes years to surface and rarely reaches people in a way that feels like a real conversation. That is what we do here every single time. If this video gave you something, hit like, drop a comment and tell us about the moment your cat chose you. And subscribe, because what we are covering next will change the way you see your cat all over again. And that is always worth staying for.